All right, hello, this is Wmpyr. I haven't posted in a while because I am sick. I am still sick, and it's brutal. Um, when I go to bed, I like to use that time to think about martial arts because when you're falling asleep, your brain is not the same as when you're awake. And because of that, you're able to get some interesting ideas. And I like to take advantage of that. Um, and last night, I was trying to go to bed, trying to get as much sleep as possible. And I thought about this. So I think it was being sick and the going to bed phase. So both of those created an extra abnormal brain waves for me, and I came up with something that I normally don't really think about. So I apologize, this is in Japanese, but I'm going to translate it for you guys. And yeah, hopefully you'll find it interesting. So it says assault, and there's 3 steps to the assault. And, assault is something that I said that there's 3 types of combat: assault, fighting, and self-defense. So assault is just one of the 3, and I put equal importance to all 3. And that's extremely important. I mean, you could focus on whatever you want, and I focus on the self-defense because that's what I plan to use. The assault is, I'm hopefully will never have to use it, and I probably never will use it. It's just such a rare percentage in my life, you know, where I live, um, yeah, and my, just my situation in life. Maybe if I was a soldier, and maybe if I was, constantly going to war zones, then I need assault. But in my case, I don't need it, so I don't focus on it. It's still, I realize that it's just as important as the other 2, but it's not my focus. Okay. So anyway, we have assault, and it's made up of 3 steps. And shock, hit them hard, and takedown. So I call it the shit, SHT, for when shit hits the fan situations. So for really bad situations, you use it. So you're going to shock them, you're going to hit them hard, and you're going to take them down. And I didn't feel the need to focus on this because A, I'm not going to use it. B, if I do use it, it's horrific. And then C, I practice the Heaven 6 all the time. And if you use the Heaven 6 with 2 knives and you assault somebody like that, that just seems devastating enough. And I have that skill. So I'm like, do I need more? Or I could use 2 tomahawks, or I could use 2 machetes, and assault somebody. I mean, it just, what more do you want? That just seems plenty. And now some people say, well, no, there's worse than that. Yeah, I'm sure. But I think even that is overkill. So, that's why. But anyway, so using the same formula, looking at Captain Fairbairn's gutter fighting system, and he has the edge of hand blow. So he seems to really like that. That's step 1. So that's where he's going to cause the shock. Number 2 is the chin jab, which he seems to even like this technique even more than the edge of hand blow. And that's where he's going to hit them really hard enough to off balance them. And number 3 is what he calls the hip throw, which is it's basically a trip. It's what they call a osotogari in judo, and but they call it a hip throw in his book Get Tough. So anyway, those are his 3 steps. Okay. So I myself modeled my own assault method off of Captain Fairbairn's, as well as those 3 steps of assault that I came up with, which is the shock, hit them hard, and the takedown. So mine is, based off of this, but it's a little different. I use what I call okay, so my number 1 is I'm gonna go for the eyes. So this is a finger jab, just kind of like in Jeet Kune Do, but I'm using it really more like a knife. Keyword, knife. To cut the eyes. Not literally, but, I'm imagining a knife. So that's my number 1. My number 2 is the Heaven 6. To be more specific, it's the wedge Heaven 6. I'm using my forearms. I know number 2 is supposed to be a power hit, and that's where I used to use elbows, but I found out that the forearm hits really hard too, maybe not as hard as an elbow, but it's way more versatile. So for me, it's the wedge all the way. So I switch from elbow to forearm. So that's number 2 is my wedge. And then number 3 is, since I'm doing this pretty much to their face, the neck is right there, so I go into a choke. So my choke is a takedown. My takedown is a choke, is kind of the way that I viewed it. And if you guys don't know what the heck I'm talking about, I've uploaded videos before showing you guys with Stickman, which was my dummy that I made, and I'm using a stick to apply the choke. So it's a stick choke, but it can be done with improvised weapons or with no weapons. It could be done empty-handed too. But yeah, that shows it right there. I'm treating my choke as the takedown, and once again, the takedown is also the choke in my case. So anyway, those are my 3 steps. Okay, and now this is what I dreamt up yesterday in my weird brain state. And look, I want to tell you guys, I'm drug free, other than I've been taking medicine for the because I'm sick. But yeah, other than that, I rarely take any kind of medicine, and I am straight edge. I am drug free. I don't do alcohol, no kind of smoking, no weed, none of that, no drugs, no recreational drugs, nothing like that. I'm clean edge. I barely drink soda, and I just cussed right now, and I barely cussed too. but anyway, okay, so what I came up with is the old ancient method is what I've been obsessed with lately. It's the ancient method of combat. And so I'm going to the spear hand as my first step. The spear hand is just a straight out, you're making your hand into a spear and you're stabbing at their throat. Then from there, without even bringing my hand back, because naturally when you hit the throat, the impact's gonna bring the hand back a little bit. There's an equal and opposite force kind of thing. So I'm going to use that force to immediately go into a throat grab. This comes from sumo. It's a sumo technique. So do the spear hand. Step 2 is the throat grab, which is it's actually a strike to the throat, but it's a throat grab. And that should be enough. You don't have to even drive it back. Just a 1 inch to pop the throat real quick and to off balance them really takes you into the takedown. So it's relentless. There's no break here. And that's exactly what an assault should be. You don't want the enemy to have time to recover. So immediately a spear hand to the throat, right away into the pop them with a throat grab, and then keep that hand right on their throat and trip them from behind. So it's kind of like a choke slam, but it's choke slam. They picked them up and then they slammed them down, and of course when they pick them up, the person being slammed helps, but because it is an entertainment move. But in this case right here, you're tripping them. So it's not that you're lifting them or anything. Anyway, it's an awesome 3-step, but I feel like there's some tough people out there. So that means this may not work. There's limits, of course. Every technique has a limit. I used to, everyone says every technique has a counter. Yes, but every technique also has a limit. So can I do a rear naked choke on a tiger? No, I cannot. His neck is like my waist. I've had trouble doing the rear naked choke on wrestlers, amateur wrestlers, freestyle wrestlers, that their neck is too huge. And I had trouble doing a rear naked choke. Imagine a tiger. It's just impossible. Or imagine, and that wrestler that I'm thinking about, there was one in particular, his neck was huge. I put him in a guillotine choke, and I couldn't finish it because his neck was too big. That guy, he wasn't even that big. He was my height or shorter, or possibly taller, but I'm thinking he was actually shorter. He just looked taller because he was buff, and he was what, 200 pounds plus max. He wasn't like 240, maybe, I could be wrong, but I don't think he was 260, nothing like that. But there's dudes that are 300 pounds. There's dudes that are more, but I mean, I'm talking 300 pounds and buff, and athletic. So someone's neck like that, and then they train their neck, there's a limit, is what I'm trying to say. So anyway, let's say you meet someone that's just too much. So that means you can't take them down. So your hand's still on their throat. So let's go back to number 2. Then from number 2, we're going to branch out. What are our other options to make the takedown? We're going to fight for this takedown. So one is to pull their head down. So by pulling their head into your hand, it becomes a choke. So from there, you're also in a stronger position. Now maybe we can get the takedown after that. So their balance is going to be bad. They're going to be choking. They're going to be trying to get out of that. Now you might be able to get the takedown. The other one is a tiger's claw, which is your hand is on their throat, and you change it to a tiger's claw. Now you can attack their, what is it called? The voice box? Is that what it's called? The esophagus. So you're going to attack that, and now you could dig your fingers in from the side, it's very vulnerable to a sideways movement. So you could now do that to it. A lot of people just like to crush it, and compress it. It's strong. It's actually pretty strong to that, but the sideways movement is weak to that. And yeah, that's kind of interesting, right? And the neck itself is strong to a sideways movement, but that is weaker there. So yeah, anyway. So you do that to his neck. Now you're causing severe pain. And maybe now from there you could go back to the takedown. And then the third option there is to just lift their chin up. So now it's like a palm strike. So you lift their chin up. And then from the lifting their chin up, we have two options. One is to go to the chin jab. And honestly, you could skip the lifting their chin up. You could easily just go from the throat grab to the chin jab. And the chin jab is, I think this would make Captain Fairbairn happy. That's his, that's like his thing. So, that's the pattern that we're talking about. Go from the throat grab and then boom into the chin jab. And I feel like he would approve of that. And then the other one, the final option, is go from the chin lift to a sideways elbow strike to their voice box. So this is brutal. And this comes from Sifu Paul Vunak's Jeet Kune Do stuff. So I'm just giving it credit and I'm citing my sources. Where did I get this move from? So that's where that's from. I didn't invent it. I don't know where he got it from, but I know he showed it in one of his videotapes, and I saw it. And I remember being impressed by it. So there you go. That's a brutal move. Now, I think he said you could kill a person with this. I don't know. Obviously, he hasn't killed a person with it. And I don't think he's even heard of anyone killing a person with it. But I don't know. And regardless, it's a nasty move. So that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say you could kill someone with it. I'm just going to say it's a nasty move. So, if you do it, this is assault that we're speaking of. This whole thing is assault anyway. So legally, you should already be well aware what kind of risk you're putting yourself into by using this. But anyway, this, like I said, is just something that came to me in a dream. I have no intention of ever using this, but it was interesting just to think about it. So yeah, going from the head pull or the tiger's claw or the chin lift, you could also combine any of them together, and you could always go back to just a simple throat grab, and then, like I said, just keep trying that takedown again. So you could, in that sense, is very similar to Captain Fairbairn's method of, being like Legos, where you could mix and match, and it's modular. So yeah, I think I covered everything I wanted to say. That's it for now. Thank you for viewing, and take care, folks.